Hello, I'm Ian, and this is Somerset News Network. Now, I've been trolling websites that I trust, and YouTube videos, Instagram, and all the other social media sites, following people who have sort of got some idea of what's going on with Ukraine. Now, we are presented with the mainstream media, with Zelensky, Starmer, Macron, all going to the White House. The UN Secretary General is also there. The German Chancellor is there, and the EU representative. Now, it looks as if Trump is trying to get a peace deal. Totally agree with him. He is trying to do the right thing. Now, he tried to do this in January, and it was rejected by Zelensky with the help of Starmer and Macron and Canada, because they still wanted to sell Ukraine bombs and bullets. They saw it as a war against the aggression of Russia. Now, as I told you on the last video, Russia only came in because Ukraine was using mercenaries in the Crimean area to push out the Russian-speaking people. They were trying to ethnically cleanse them. Russia came in to protect them. That's how this war started. And people are forgetting that. Now, Russia, since January, has slowly been creeping west. It's taken the territory from Ukraine and it ain't giving it back. They said there was going to be a land swap in the press releases. They're now saying, on social media, experts are saying that Russia wants more of Ukraine's land. So they want to come further west. Now, pro-Russian social media sites that I also watch, which I take with a pinch of salt. But one interesting thing that they're saying is that Russia has put an ultimatum to Zelensky that they want a total surrender. So that means Russia will take over the whole of Ukraine. Starmer and his friends have lost. That means we've lost. I keep saying not in my name. Starmer thought that he was going to have a proxy war with Russia and win. Well, it hadn't worked. He's got a 100-year deal with Ukraine for the rare earth minerals. Well, if Russia is going to take over Ukraine, or more of Ukraine going west, then that's where the rare earth elements are. That makes that 100-year deal absolutely worthless. Now, the other thing that's happened is that we had an Act of Parliament about the sanctions against the Russians. And in that, you can't make this up. They're going to take biomarkers off the grain, and if they find grain that has been produced in Ukraine that are controlled by the Russians, that they're not going to allow it to be sold on the open market. Well, what will happen is Russia will buy it up and sell it to China or India, you know, the BRICS countries. You know, so that's going to fall down. You know, Starmer is an absolute idiot. There's no other word for it. And he waffled on at the press conference around the table. He waffled on. And to be honest, I fell asleep halfway through. What the hell was he talking about? I'd like to see a transcript of it and try and make some sense of it. He waffled on, yeah. But he looks out of place. He doesn't look like a world leader. Trump was totally in charge in that press conference. And he had Macron and Starmer and the German Chancellor all under the thumb. That was lovely to watch. Now, we're being told that there's agreement and they're going to try and get a ceasefire, and that Zelensky and Putin are going to meet in the next 2 weeks. Well, Trump is trying to facilitate that. Trump is trying to stop the war. However, if it's true that Russia has a demand that, one, it wants to keep the land it's already taken, which I think Trump has agreed to. That's why they're still moving west. And they also want a total surrender of the Ukrainian forces. Well, now, what's going to happen to Ukraine is the next answer. If they're going to surrender, does it mean that the UN or the EU or Russia's going to move into Ukraine? Don't know the answer to that. But it's not all as we are told. And then what happens to all the crooks? Sorry. The international businessmen. Yeah. You know, we know Burisma was involved. We know that Hunter Biden's involved. We know that Soros is involved. We know BlackRock's involved. What deals have they done with Ukraine? And if there's a total surrender of Ukraine and Russia takes over, it's game over. And Starmer's $100 million deal is just worthless. You know, may as well use it for toilet paper. It's absolutely crazy. They think they're in control, these people. And Trump and Putin are playing them for fools, which they are. Anyway, that's my take on it. Now, I watch all different sites and websites and news outlets and things I trust. And I pick things out and I make my own mind up of what's going on. And I don't think I'm too far from the truth. But as they say, time will tell and we'll find out in the end. I just want the war to stop. You know, personally, I'd like Russia to go back to its old border with Ukraine. Ukraine to get rid of Zelensky and hold parliamentary elections. Ukraine to be independent. So Ukraine becomes a buffer between Europe and Russia. Then Ukraine can trade with both sides. That is what I would like to see. What's going to happen at the end of the day now? I think it's all up in the air. I think Russia has control of what's going on. Trump knows this. Trump is trying to broker a deal. He is the king of the art of the deal. And he's trying to get a deal. You've got to admire him for that. You know. Anyway, I've said enough. It was only a little chat I wanted to say, and bye bye for now.